You're watching the Three and You Giant Fans podcast brought to you by Scott, Giant, Mike, and Cardone. We're sponsored by Manscaped.com. Use code AGRYMAN to get a 20% discount and free shipping. And download our audio podcast at Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts from.
So keeping with our trend of watching or listening to the press conferences after the game, that's a very frustrated Brian Dable. Talked about missed chances, talked about the bad calls, getting ready for Washington, just very terse one-word answers. And he was actually asked a question. It seems like you're a little bit more irritated than normal. And he said, yeah, all losses are irritating. That was a frustrating game. We'll get into it, but it seems like every game against Dallas is a frustrating game.
Yeah, going back, it seems like forever. Certainly in my lifetime, but it's if they don't get blown out and embarrassed, which we all sort of predicted they would, they're in a close game that's decided by the most head scratching of either plays, funny ball bounces, officials calls. It's just always some oddity, and maybe that's the same that we probably have with Philadelphia, although Philadelphia seems to take us to the woodshed a little more often than Dallas does in that regard. But yeah, frustrating. Always, you never want to lose to Dallas. This is just a team that just does nothing but their fans bark and crow like there's something. Jerry Jones and that disgrace of a building. Just, I always talk about Ezekiel Elliott being the best player who does nothing. Of course, he has to come out and shove that in my face and have a pretty good game. But Dallas as a team is that same team. They're just they're lauded with respect and accolades for doing just dick.
Exactly. But you're right. You guys just said it. It's easy to be pissed off after this game. It's infuriating. Yeah, the three of us, we said last week that we didn't think the Giants would give Dallas much of a game at all. And because they were in the game, and because they played much better than we thought and we felt. Yeah, that's when you lose the close, when you're in the game and the game swings on a couple plays here and there, yeah, it's just infuriating. So Dable's feeling, maybe he's feeling the pressure a little bit. Now you got 2 losses. I think they've lost 3 out of 4 now. In there with the bye. So yeah, he's definitely feeling the pressure as I am as well. Because the playoffs all of a sudden got a lot tighter as far as the race. We'll talk about it. We'll get into it tonight in terms of what's at stake next week with Washington. But it's Dallas. It's Thanksgiving. It's that fucking stadium. It's that Salvation Army kettle that I can't stand. The whole thing, all of it. It's just that whole stadium. And wasn't expecting a win, but coming out in the second half, we'll get into it, guys. But yeah, it's easy to be pissed off tonight.
Yeah, so we are the Three Angry Giant Fans. It's your host, Scott, with Giant Mike and Cardone. And let's give a shout out before we get into the details of the game. So this one's a little bit closer to us here. So hello, Lincolnton, North Carolina.
Lincolnton.
So Lincolnton, named after Major General Benjamin Lincoln from the Revolutionary War. And it was the site of the first textile mill in North Carolina.
Also the site of my first authentic and true Southern barbecue sandwich, where I didn't know what the hell or how to order this freaking thing. And that's when you get the coleslaw slammed on top of your sandwich, in between the slices of bread. I'm like, the hell are you doing here? Coleslaw belongs on the side. You eat it with a fork. No, not in North Carolina, not in Lincolnton, North Carolina. That was the first time I ever had experienced coleslaw on top of my sandwich. Evidently, that's how you're supposed to do barbecue. What do I know, being from New Jersey? Oh, well.
So did you like it or no?
No, I much prefer the coleslaw on the side. Then the guy was asking me, like, what kind of base do I want? The mustard, vinegar. I'm like, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. I know barbecue sauce out of a jar. So I know KC barbecue sauce, or I don't even know if I knew Sweet Baby Ray's at the time, but vinegar, mustard, I don't know what you're talking about, sir. So.
I think we just lost our listener from Lincolnton now. He's
Probably.
very offended.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure he's offended.
I don't know.
Well, first of all, you can't name a town Lincolnton. We just assume it's Abraham Lincoln. But that's not even right to Major General whatever his name was, because no one knows that. You figure Abraham Lincoln on a presidential thing, stopped there and waved at everyone from the back of a train, and they're like, "Oh, this is Lincolnton now." And now this guy, they named the town after him. Like only his family knows, and when his kids are, his great grandkids are in school. This town's named after my great grandfather. No, it's not. You liar. They probably it's just You got to do something else. They should have used his first name or something.
Well, that's Benjaminville.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. Benjamin third for Rufferton.
Reminds me of Superman when Lex Luthor wanted to name the town like Lexville or Luthor
Yeah.
town.
I think that was Otis,
Otis.
his assistant, Otisburg. Yeah, after the missile that he concocted to hit the San Andreas Fault, California was supposed to fall into the Pacific Ocean, and then he was supposed to have
property.
Yeah, exactly. He was going to have beachfront property up along the entire coast, and then Otisburg was. Anyway, we digress here a little bit on the 3 New Giant fans, but yeah.
So I'm glad we could give a little bit of a history lesson because, of course, we had a history lesson in Dallas too. This game went the way most Dallas games go. They're frustrating as hell, bad calls on both sides. You got touchdowns taken off the board. We were just talking before we came on the air. How many times have we had a touchdown taken off the board when we play Dallas? It seems like every fucking game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go find that out because it's a great point. Like Scott said, we were talking about it before the game, and it just seems like it's a staple. You go back to Charles Way, right? You guys remember Charles Way scoring to ice a game?
Way.
Yeah, he scored to ice a game, and that one got called back, and so it's just every game must have this. Sometimes it's in a very critical moment. This is first quarter. You could argue that wasn't that big a deal, but there's that, and then of course there's there's two in this game. One on like a 3rd and forever, and the other on 3rd and 6 defensive holding calls where nobody was touching anybody, and you just gifted a first down. Of course, we talk about that every week, but yeah, the touchdown's called back on an illegal lineman downfield who was like 3.5, 4 yards downfield. I couldn't tell where the line of scrimmage was when they showed that replay, but just seemed very ticky-tack. And, it's, who knows? Who knows what could have happened had those refs just kept the flags in their pocket for the afternoon.
So we do have a good friend, our Jets fan that was on the podcast, Scott Novak. We like that Scott Novak. The Scott Novak who officiated this game can go fuck himself. I mean, that crew, we talked about them in a previous podcast, not even doing a Giant game, just doing another game where they completely screwed up. Well, that crew just has a habit of throwing game-altering penalties and calls. And the one we're talking about here with the legal man downfield, the thing that makes me the most angry about that is the lineman was engaged with the blocker. The blocker then dropped back into coverage, which is not supposed to result in a penalty. And then I saw screenshots taken of Dallas on 4 or 5 different plays that they ran where their linemen were downfield, including one which was on the Dalton Schultz 3rd and 15 touchdown. So, it always seems like a crew that throws a flag on a touchdown that takes it off the board, they do it after the fact. Like that flag was not thrown in real time. That flag was thrown, it seemed like, after the referee saw the score and went, "Oh, wait a minute, this guy's out downfield. Let's throw the flag."
Well, it didn't seem like that, Scott. It was a rare one where you could see the flag actually come in off the screen, and it came in simultaneous with the runner crossing the goal line.
Well, what do I always say, guys? Right? Before, like we've talked about a million times. Like my routine. I don't fly off the couch or off my bar stool until I wait for the yellow box, wait for the yellow flag indicator on the screen, because it's that's until you know that you can celebrate the play. And that one, how do I know how late that was? I was already like pumping my fist and cheering and taking a sip of my beer, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh shit, there's a flag. Where did that come from? So that's how late that flag came in, because I usually build in the 2-second pause. And a couple points I wanted to make on that particular play. Well, first of all, I wanted to thank McCarthy for the fucking boneheaded going for it on 4th and 2, you arrogant asshole, on your own 40. Way to give the Giants, way to give your opponent, momentum early in the game. I had a feeling the Giants were going to stop that, first of all. So we got the ball there at the 40-yard line on the plus 40, thanks to McCarthy's arrogant asshole play, going for it there. But I mentioned this, Mike, I don't know if you were on yet. I mentioned it to Scott, tonight. If you remember that drive, it was only 40 yards. The 2 plays before the Hodgins touchdown, Jones, a very similar play, rolled to his right on the far side and found Myrick underneath the, just past the line of scrimmage for, like a 20-yard, kind of seam right down the seam there on the numbers. And I went back and looked at the highlight of both of those plays. Guess what? On the Myrick play, 2 plays before that, There were 3 Giant linemen that were past the line of scrimmage. No call. So either McCarthy or someone was barking about it, maybe on that play, on that particular play. But that just goes to show you how much bullshit it is with this officiating in the NFL. Because 2 plays earlier, you saw the same exact thing with about 3 linemen past the line of scrimmage, and they didn't make the call, and they call it back on the touchdown after he crosses the goal line. It's bullshit, guys.
I think I have a bigger problem. As much as that one took a touchdown off the board, I still have a bigger problem with the thought process on the Darnay Holmes hold, because it's a 3rd down and 7 there. It's an incomplete pass on a ball that's not catchable, and CeeDee Lamb was not impeded. Holmes literally, when they show the replay, never touches CeeDee Lamb. So at what point does a referee see an infraction and throw the flag? And is certain that he saw contact? Because first off, you can't hold without contact. Second of all, you can't throw a flag if you don't see contact. So what did the guy see that made him think, oh, that's a hold right there?
I've watched it 100 times. I posted it on Twitter, actually, the video of that play with the caption that said, "For those of you just learning the game of football, this is textbook defensive holding." Got a lot of thumbs up and likes on that.
Textbook defensive holding.
They're going to call that every time. I don't know. I feel like I've beaten the dead horse on this so badly, but their threshold for defensive holding on 3rd and long, or even 3rd and medium, on 3rd down period, is the exact opposite of what it should be. It just is. The threshold to throw that flag should be incredibly high.
Yeah.
Or at least it shouldn't be as low as it is. That play, you should be able as an official to watch that play come off the line of scrimmage 1,000 times and never even think I'm throwing a flag on that. You did not see a guy impeded. You did not see a jersey grabbed or stretched. You didn't see anyone use a hand to twist. You just didn't. You threw the flag. Most of the time I could give a reason why they threw the flag. Maybe not most of the time, but just heartbreaking, devastating.
I mean, yeah, guys. We could talk about the officiating all night, but looking at the game itself, in both sides of the ball, we're not making enough plays. The Giants still didn't make enough plays to win this game.
Yep.
Certainly. So I don't want our listeners to just think like, oh, there they go again. Just talking about the officials, and that's a big part of it. But just some of the plays that I was thinking about today. I went back and looked at the tape, just to look at the replays. Yeah, like we're coaches, right? Looking at the tape, and Dallas. It seemed like they were picking up every 3rd down. We were, defensively, we were giving up 3rd down after 3rd down conversion. They scored on a couple of those drives where they must have completed 4 or 5 in a row on one drive. They were 7 for 11 on 3rd down. We're blitzing. We're still blitzing a lot. We're not getting to the quarterback. I know Dallas has one of the better offensive lines in the league. It seems like they do every goddamn year. I don't know how they always have the best offensive line, and we seem to have one of the worst. I don't know how that happens, but that still seems to be the case. And so, combine that with offensively, where teams have figured out how to stop Saquon Barkley, either that or we're not getting enough misdirection and things of getting him the ball in space, that kind of stuff. So, Dallas is a better team than the Giants, and they just showed that both sides of the ball. We turned Dak over twice. We did nothing with it. I don't think we scored on either one of those. We stopped their drives. That's really all we did. We stopped them from scoring on those drives. That's about it. But we didn't really take them by the balls there a little bit and make them pay for those turnovers with points off of those. So the Giants are they're not making plays, guys. They're still not making enough plays. We know that they're not a big play offense, but now all of a sudden what I'm starting to fear is that, we saw 2 weeks in a row now that with the Lions and now the Cowboys, they're running it down our throat a little bit. We're not getting to the quarterback. We're not disrupting the passing game enough, and that's kind of concerning.
Yeah. You know who had a good game, and it didn't show up so much in the results, but Thibodeau had 9 pressures on 26 rushes.
Yeah.
So he was getting there. There were a couple times it looked like he was getting
Being held.
mugged. Again, another officiating complaint, but he's getting sustained pressure now. The interior of the line, Williams and Lawrence played well again. guys, we're not stopping the run at the second level. So
No.
the inside linebackers, the safeties, they're missing tackles. We're allowing guys to go forward. We'll talk about this when we get to the Redskin game, because the Redskins now have a pretty efficient rushing attack as well. So we're going to have to get better on this kind of thing. And of course, we jinxed Andrew Thomas too. We talked about how great he was doing. Now he did have the flu. He was under the weather, but he gave up 2 sacks. First 2 sacks of the year, and he gave up several pressures. Of course, he was lined up against Parsons most of the time, but still.
Yeah, it's good stuff. I mean, I don't have any real specific plays to break down there, but I do just think generally 2 things showed up. To Cardone's point, is what's the difference between Dallas and the Giants right now? It's offensive line and wide receivers. CeeDee Lamb and Michael Gallup just making plays all over the field. And the Giants defensive, those kids who just got called in out of nowhere, didn't find out they were playing a game on Thursday until Monday. They played great. Dallas, Lamb, and particularly Gallup in this game, Gallup, who, didn't come in as highly touted as Lamb, but Gallup was covered and made some nice catches.
Yeah.
And Lamb is just a playmaker. And the Giants, I mean, I know offense doesn't play offense, but our offense just has none of that for Jones. We don't have any of that. We've talked about the drops, and some of these guys every now and then pop up and make a play, and you're happy because they suck. So it's when they actually make a play, you point it out. But yeah, the talent level versus Lamb and Gallup and Schultz is just a huge giant gap there. And Barkley, if teams just really want to dedicate themselves to stopping Barkley, they can. We've all known this. We have to make them pay for that. You have to.
Yeah.
And the reason we can't, just being completely honest, Jones has missed some throws this year. So there's that. That's out there. But Jones has shitty wide receivers, and Jones doesn't get much time to throw the ball. We know that. This offensive line is better than it has been the past few years. Still not very good. On their best day, they're maybe slightly above average when they're all healthy and playing pretty well. They're maybe slightly above average, and I think that gets better. I think that gets better with health next year. But if we can get people off Jones' back and make them pay for selling out to stop Barkley, this offense could be dangerous, but we just don't have the horses still.
Yeah. I want to make a quick correction of a comment I just made. So on the second interception of Dak, that we were up 10-7, and late second quarter, we did turn. So we did turn that into 3 points going back the other way at the end of the half. So we went up 13-7 on that after that turnover. So I was feeling great about the game at that point, guys. 13-7, halftime. And Mike, you just made you just brought up a great point that I was going to touch on just, in the second half. And it was one of those things where you just felt like, all right, we're up by 6, but it felt, I mean, if that's as precarious a lead as the Giants ever have, right? At that, in that game, in that stadium, the situation, I'm like, you're just waiting for the freaking roof to cave in. And it did. There was no chance of stopping Dallas coming out of the halftime. They marched right down our throat, 14 plays, 75 yards, over 7.5 minutes to go up 14-13. The play of the game, guys, was I wrote it down here. We're down 13-14. You just said, Mike, Jones has missed some throws, and it was the play down 13-14, 4:10 coming after that drive, 4:10 left in the third, 4th and 1.5 yards on our own 45, and Jones misses Saquon on that little out route that would have been a first down. I watched that play a couple times again over, and I can't tell, did Jones just make a bad throw? He had some pressure coming from his right, so kind of like he was throwing right into his pressure, into the pressure. But Barkley's wide open, and he throws it like kind of off his right hip, if you guys remember that play. Yeah. And as soon as he dropped that ball, if they counted a drop, missed throw, whatever, I said right there, it was a 1-point game. I'm like, that's game's over after that. Then Dallas came down, scored after that. It was 21-13, lights out. That was it. That was the play.
Like a critical moment.
But it seems like, Mike, those are the plays that I felt like the Giants have been making like all year, surprising us, right? And then in this particular game, like, nope, couldn't make that one play. Had they sustained that drive, who knows what happens? Maybe they go down and get at least 3 to take the lead back, and maybe, we don't know. I mean, I'm not suggesting they go on to win that game, but that was it. Dallas came down and then went up by 21-13. Game over.
I don't like that call. I don't like that play there. I mean, we're making fun of McCarthy for going at it at his own end.
Yeah.
You're down 1 point at that juncture. I wish they would have kicked it away, because even if Dallas comes down and does score a touchdown, you're within 8. What I don't like is the fact that they ran a play with by the way, they only had 10 men on the field for that play. So they had 10 men on the field. Barkley rolls out. He's open. Jones throws a pass that's slightly off target, but Barkley doesn't bring it in. So it's just a failure on all levels. They don't have enough men on the field. They run the play anyway, and it's in their own end. So once you give that up, for some reason, when we miss a play like that, my first inclination is just that, the other team's going to score a touchdown, and they did.
And they did. Yeah.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong. I hated the call. But the play should have worked, even with 10 men on the field. Maybe that 11th man would have blocked the guy in Jones' face, and we get that easy. Who knows?
I put a lot of that on Barkley too. Barkley has the ball, hit him in the hands, and he's sort of awkwardly falling down too. It's like just secure the ball. Just secure the ball first.
Yeah.
Awkward looking play, and you just don't know why. The timing is something just doesn't look. It looks like it's off rhythm since from the snap of the ball for some reason. I didn't realize they had 10 on that play, Scott. Actually, isn't it interesting though? I think. Weren't we talking about having 10 men on the field the last time we played Dallas, giving up a touchdown was it that game? I think
there was a game when we had
defensively, I think it was defensively we had 10 guys on the field. So it happens. Obviously it never should at this level, but it's that play right there. Yeah, it's funny. I was just calling McCarthy a bonehead, but I love Dable being aggressive there in that situation. But to your points, guys, I was okay with it, but obviously when it doesn't work, you're, it looks like a bad decision at that point in the game. But I was okay with the call and the decision there, and it just didn't pan out, didn't work out. And
on the flip side, we had 10 men on the field in the Seattle Oakland game or Las Vegas game. Derek Carr throws an interception, and a 12th man comes off the bench for Seattle to help block on that play.
I just saw that.
Officials didn't catch it.
He thought the play was over. He was running on to celebrate. Then he ended up blocking downfield for somebody.
Guys, I've been watching some of the games on Sunday, and just some of the things that I see. We were talking about the Giants getting a touchdown taken away from them. In that Green Bay game last night, Green Bay scores a touchdown, and they actually call a holding penalty on a lineman on a pancake block, a perfect pancake block. Yes. And I'm thinking to myself, these officials are ridiculous in taking scores off the board. What are they doing here? Why are they impacting the game and not letting the players make plays?
We love the pancake block, the three of us, the 3 of you Giant fans. We love it. We talk about the pancake all the time.
But I mean, really, what happens now is season boils down to the next 2 games, more or less. If we lose both to Washington, you might as well count us out. If we win both, you might as well call us a lock. And if we split with Washington, we're going to have to pick up a game against Indy, maybe a game against Minnesota or Philly. We're going to have to find another win in there somewhere. And Washington's been on a roll. Washington started 1-4 this year, and since that time they've gotten rolling. Heineke's found a groove. This team's beatable. They should have lost to the Atlanta Falcons. Chris and I were talking about this before we came on board. Falcons had a 1st and goal from the 4. Actually, I think it was 1st and goal from the 2 after a penalty. And what do? They lose 2 yards on 1st down instead of just run up the fucking middle. Maybe you get a yard, maybe you don't, but you at least get positive yards. And then the next play is an interception, and it seals the game for the Redskins. Like, why are you throwing down there? You've run it down their throats all game long, and now you got Cordarrelle Patterson who can bowl people over. I just don't get the play calling some of these teams employ down in the red zone.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? How Cardone has mentioned it, and now you just did, Scott, at the beginning of that. How 2 games can change every. I mean, at 7-2, we're feeling like this is an invincible. You can't even imagine us not being in the playoffs. Now it's all I can think about. Just 2 games later, and Detroit just seemed like a pivot pin moment for us. I think I said before that game, like if we win both of those, I'll be comfortable. The Houston and Detroit games, and it's not only that we lost to Detroit, it's how we lost. And yeah, Detroit's playing well right now, but yeah, I mean the loss to Dallas on Thanksgiving. Did any of us not have that penciled in already? I
No
mean,
doubt.
you know,
Now the good thing is that Detroit lost this week, Seattle lost in overtime to the Raiders.
Yeah.
So Buccaneers lost, Falcons lost. We have a little bit of breathing room there. But
Yeah.
it still is going to come down to us and the Redskins and there's a good chance we could have 3 wild cards from the NFC East if
Imagine.
Seattle ends up folding up. And
I think if the season ended right now, that's the case, isn't
yeah,
it?
that is,
Yeah.
I believe that is the
believe-
case right now.
That's unheard of. Unheard of. Yeah, this was the second week in a row that and these are brutal weeks. The Giants lost, and all 3 other teams in the NFC East
Yep.
won. So,
Yep.
at this point, forget about the division. A couple weeks ago in 7-2, I'm like that. When the Eagles lost to the Vikings and the Giants were 1 game out of first place. And what the hell with the wild card? I want the division at this point. Now, I'm starting to feel like I don't want this, and I hope Daboll and the team doesn't feel this either. Where I feel nervous all of a sudden, there's nothing worse than that nervous fan energy where you're afraid to lose. Where there's a big difference. And every fan knows what we're talking about between the difference of going out and playing aggressively and winning and just being afraid to lose. You coach to lose, you played, you're playing, or I'm sorry, you coach not to lose and you play not to lose, and that's when you do lose. And that's what's frightening right now. And the Redskins, they got some mojo right now. And I just looked at their schedule, not even realizing I knew they were on a roll, but they've won 6 out of the last 7 games.
Yeah.
And I remember this streak started on a Monday night on a Thursday night. I happened to be in Chicago on a business trip, and they won a disgusting, gross Redskin Justin Fields bullshit game. It looked meaningless at the time. 12-7. It was gross, and that started this run. They having only lost to the Vikings in there. So I don't know what to make of this Washington team, to be honest. Yeah, they're very beatable, Scott. You just said they are, but the Giants are beatable. So both these teams have a chance to win. What I really don't care for is the NFL scheduling committee, who puts these schedules together back in April and May, at least when they're released to the public. Is and I think we already talked about this. The Washington plays at the Giants. They have their bye, and then they host the Giants the week after that. So they get the New York Giants 2 weeks in a row. This is unprecedented in the NFL in a 17-game, 18-week schedule that they play the same team, albeit obviously it has to be a division opponent. Those are the only ones you play twice, obviously. They play the Giants 2 weeks in a row without playing another opponent. I think that's an advantage, Washington.
That's I didn't know that, and that is a huge advantage.
Yeah.
Huge.
And it is, to me, that's unacceptable.
It's bullshit.
How you can
bullshit.
have 2 division teams square off with one team having a full week of rest and the other one coming off. Actually, we're going to play Philly in between.
And we're playing Philly.
So it's like we have like a game where we're like, well, this might not be that bad. We're playing, we're in the midst of a 5 division game streak in a row.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's borderline. That's not fair. I mean, more than borderline. It's just not fair.
It's not.
Washington gets to prepare for the Giants, play a game, and then just tweak that game plan and go back out a week later while we have to, in between, prepare for a 10-1 team or
deal with the Philadelphia
11-1.
Eagles. Exactly.
Yeah.
No, it's just bullshit.
That's horse shit. That is
unbelievable.
horse shit.
I didn't realize that until a couple weeks ago, and then I was thinking, well, because obviously I'm focused on the Giants schedule and looking at seeing, that we play Washington two out of 3 weeks. Now the NFL, that's not quite the anomaly. I still don't like that in terms of when you play, the same team twice in 3 weeks. And then when I looked at Washington's schedule, I'm like, holy shit, they have a bye week in there. They don't even have to play another team or travel or do anything. That's nuts.
Yeah. And then they're at home after the bye week, so they don't even have to travel. Not that that's that big a deal from Washington to New York, but talk about just every advantage Washington for that second game.
Yeah, hopefully a lot of their players go on ATV trips during that bye week.
Yeah, let's hope for that. Maybe they all go to Costa Rica and pick up some kind of, like, I don't know, local disease or something like that. Worse than COVID.
But I'll tell you guys, the Washington right now, they have Brian Robinson and Antonio Gibson both are doing well as a running back tandem. Gibson has been catching balls out of the backfield. Robinson's been getting 6 yards a chunk when I've been watching them. And then when they suck you in with the run, and then all of a sudden it opens up the lanes for McLaurin in the passing game. And Curtis Samuel's been doing pretty well. And their defense is coming to life. That's the thing that scares me. Their defense over this stretch has held teams under 20 points several times, and they're making big plays at the end of games to seal wins.
Yeah, as Chris said, it's not like they're lighting the world on fire. Hell, they just won. What'd you say, Chris? 6 out of 7 games, and
6 out of 7, all like 1-score games. Some ugly games in there. They beat the Colts by a point. Again, several weeks ago, you're thinking like, it's still the Washington. They're not really going to be a threat, and then they just kept winning. But Scott, you just mentioned they kind of, I don't want to say mirror the Giants a little bit, but they, in some ways they do. They don't score a ton of points. I think. It's gonna be it's gonna be a low-scoring game on Sunday. It seems like, Taylor Heineke certainly is formidable. There's no question about that. We know his ability and skill. It's not like this guy is coming out of nowhere. He does have a propensity to turn the ball over a little bit. He's got 5 picks, in 6 games. So we can force him to make a mistake. And Giants have been getting a few interceptions the last few weeks. I think we were worst in the league without having one. Until. Just a few weeks ago. Now we have, a few. So, maybe we can force, some mistakes there. But, guys, this is, the Giants don't score a ton. This is not, we don't play the kind of game. We don't get up on anybody and get comfortable leads. We're just not good enough. We don't score enough points. So this is going to be a nail biting kind of game. It is.
Yeah. Heineke's the kind of quarterback who typically beats the Giants. The guy who he's not where he's supposed to be. Mm-hmm. He's not throwing the ball where he should. And the Giants are very, what's the word I'm looking for? Concept driven. So, they're not expecting Heineke, a quarterback to do things like Heineke does. And as Chris pointed out, and if you watch the Redskins, you'll see it bites him a lot, but it just seems players like that Favre, like that against the Giants, they just get beat by those guys. Yeah. There's been a handful of guys like that over the years. The good thing about them, and what other teams do to guys like that is they are not calm, cool, collected quarterbacks. They're kind of a spaz out there, right. And you just try to make them spaz into a mistake. And for some reason, those guys, they're all up their game for some reason against the Giants, and it's probably to do because we do leave a lot of easy pickings on the field, and we start to give them confidence.
I feel a little bit better with Wink at the helm now than I did with Graham. Graham would sit back and let Heineke pick you apart.
Yep.
Whereas at least Wink's going to bring the house and force Heineke to make decisions and pick the right decisions on where to throw.
Yeah.
So if we have to look at a prediction here, Mike, what's your prediction on the game?
Well, if I pick the Giants to lose to Washington at home, I'm basically picking the end of the season. So I'm going to pick a Giants win. And I'm going to say typical Washington Giants football game. It's one of these ugly ones from years past. 17-16 Giants.
Oof.
All right, this is uncanny. This is the exact same score I was going to pick, and I was going to have. Honestly, I have it written down right here. Graham Gano is going to hit a last-second field goal to give us a 17-16 win.
That's the 3rd week in a row.
That's the 2nd week in a row. Jesus Christ.
Hey, I'll take it, man.
Oh God, I'll be thrilled.
Yeah. I'm looking for, if I look and point back to early games earlier in the season that we won, I'm looking for a Chicago Bear type of win that we had against them, or Houston, just a couple weeks ago. One of those just unflashy, kind of muck your way through the game. Like we beat Carolina, I think 1916 early in the season at home. One of those games where we kind of muck our way through. It's not the prettiest thing in the world. I'm going to go with a little bit more points. I was a little encouraged just by the how many the Giants, they had some good drives against Dallas last week, and I know Washington's defense is not is one of the more decent ones, certainly, but I don't know. I think Saquon gets a little bit more on track. I think he's going to have better yardage and performance that he has had the last couple of weeks. 22 yards and freaking 39 against Dallas last week, respectively. But I'm going to go another close one though. I'm going 23-19 Big Blue.
Right,
so I got them winning because, like you said, Mike, I can't. There's no way I can pick Washington to win this game. I just can't. That's just my. I have to say, it's really my fandom right there. I can't bring myself to just say the Giants are going to lose this game. I just can't. So
I agree.
Yeah. 23-19 Giants. Let's see.
If I took my fandom out of it, I would probably pick same score, but just reverse it.
And that's the thing with these Redskin games, Commander games, whatever they are. But they seem to come down to the very end, and they come down to a play or two. If you remember last year, we lost the first game against them because Dexter Lawrence was deemed offsides on a missed field goal, where he actually was not offsides. But
I can't
again. I mean, we saw that this week. The Titans lost. They were called for unnecessary roughness on a made field goal against the Bengals. Trying to rush through the middle. Apparently, it's unnecessary roughness if you hit the center.
Oh, was that the defenseless? Was the right defenseless player call? Was that one, Scott? I think.
Yeah, I think it was that one. Yeah.
Yeah, they called the center defenseless, I guess, somehow. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what the hell. I just can't figure this shit out anymore.
There's too many talking points I have of watching games this weekend where the officials decided critical points of the game and either gave teams, basically a gift touchdown or took touchdowns off the board. It's a league-wide epidemic. We're complaining about it with the Giants. I'm sure Cowboy fans feel like they had some bad calls in that game. But the thing is, it's league-wide. You have calls all over the place now deciding games, impacting games.
Yeah. Subjective calls at key moments, at key times, on key downs, flags coming out after. I mean, a lot of it. The thing I noticed in the Giants game, and it's always a benefit when the Giants play in prime time or during the bye week, because you just sit around and watch other games and you kind of realize this isn't a Giants thing. You see the timing of the flags now is a thing. It just seems so I've said this before. It seems results driven. The flag seems results driven.
Yeah.
If there's a hold anywhere on the field and the pass is complete, they're not. When have you seen a defensive holding call on a completed pass, guys? When have we ever seen that? It doesn't happen.
That's a great point.
Because so many of them happen away from the ball, right? From the receiver who the actual ball was intended to. On how many of those plays where the flag comes out does the intended receiver actually catch the ball? It's never. It's after the incomplete pass. They throw a flag for this guy way over here, holding.
I still say
insanity.
You could clean all of this up by just calling the egregious fouls that actually impact plays. If they did that would clear a lot of this up.
Well, that's what
it would make their jobs easier.
That's what scares me though, Scott. That it's such an easy fix. And they don't do it.
We've mentioned it a million times. So, but it sometimes it does bear repeating. Have some of this shit reviewable. Have some of these penalties reviewable. The personal fouls, the face masks, some of these things that are critical, game changing types of calls. Have them reviewable. All of it. Forward progress, whatever, all this other shit. Like everything should be reviewable. Why not? They're worried about. like what, the game taking too long or what? I don't know what the freaking concern is. We've begged for this guy all the time, even if we're on the wrong end of it. I'm telling you, it's like I can live with getting the call right. We talk about it all the time. But it's every week we have to say the same thing. Get the calls right. It's infuriating. By the way, the Giants are dogged by 2.5 points to the Commanders at home next week. I just was looking at the spread.
I actually like that. That seems to be the formula that's helped us when we're getting no respect.
I know. Yeah, I'm okay with it. Actually, couple weeks ago, I was a little infuriated the Giants weren't getting enough talk. Now I'm terrified and paranoid of it. Stop talking about the Giants. No, they're just I don't want anyone talking about them. Maybe we'll just slide in the back door in the playoffs. That's the way it's going to have to be.
People just wake up and go, how the hell did they get in the playoffs?
Right. the great collapse, as I'm dubbing it, because I'm terrified of it right now.
It's already got a name. It hasn't even happened yet.
Yeah, the great collapse.
We've given it a name.
So we're coming on to air on Cyber Monday, which is we normally record on Wednesdays, but since the game was on Thursday, we wanted to record early this week. So hopefully you took advantage on Black Friday or Cyber Monday of the Manscaped promotion. Hopefully you went out and got the Manscaped Platinum Package 4.0 using code AngryMan to get 20% off your order and free shipping. But it's never too early to play holiday music. And it's never too early to start thinking about gifts. So buy your significant other Manscaped products and keep those jingle balls shiny.
So well done.
There are so many great stocking stuffers in the Manscaped catalog. Promo code AngryMan. We've said it out every week, but everyone out there, if you haven't done this yet, your Christmas shopping, whoever's on your list, go there tonight. Great call, Scott. Cyber Monday, still going. I actually saw a couple advertisers that they're extending it to tomorrow. It's just Cyber Week now. Pretty soon it'll just be Cyber Month.
This was one of the first years I didn't like. Black Friday came, and I had no inclination whatsoever to go outside the house to shop. I mean, that used to be a thing where I'd be like, "All right, we're standing in line at 5 in the morning in the cold with my
You
hat
were that guy?
I was that guy.
No.
I don't have to be that guy now. For some reason, it just like evaporated.
No
I
reason
think it was
to do
when
it.
I used to get the newspaper and the circulars, and you go through all the ads. It'd be like, I'd have my plan. All right, we're gonna go to Best Buy at 5 a.m., Target at 6, get trampled over here at 7.
You were like
now I sleep in.
Clark Griswold going around South Charlotte here. Got to hit every major attraction. Big ball of wax. Right, in Kansas, they stopped there.
Oh, golly. Yeah, good point on that. You because you're right, man. You go to that website, you can find a big gift there, so it could be one of the centerpiece gifts, or you buy the stuff individually, stuff the stocking.
Yeah.
Or here's a tip: buy the kit, open it, break it out. You can fill a whole stocking with the kit.
There you go.
I like that.
It's a great call, Mike.
You can actually separate the gifts out to multiple people.
Yeah.
Right.
They're individually wrapped and sealed. You don't. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. The weed whacker in one, the lawnmower in another, shampoo. Right. Ball revitalizer in another.
One-stop shop.
Crop duster. Good
Crop
stuff.
duster in another. Yeah. Got everyone on your. If you lost a fantasy football league and maybe like your punishment is to buy Christmas gifts for everyone in your league. There you go. I don't know. I'm just making that up. I have no idea.
I don't want to be in one of those leagues where like you're forced to get a tattoo if you lose or something like that.
No
I'd
way.
probably have I'd have a big thing on my back of like I don't know, Bette Midler.
Remember the old school commercial with the guy getting the tattoo of the lion on the back, and the guy comes in and says, "You've been traded to Miami." You remember that one?
Yeah,
Yes.
It's a good commercial. I love that.
Cardone, any pet peeves this week?
Yeah, there's always a pet peeve or two. So this is one. I can't even think of a particular game this happened in like this week. I probably did. And I don't remember in my drunken stupor over the weekend. You got these extended weekends. I don't remember like what game I was watching on what day it was. There's so much college football on. Obviously the NFL is going all week. But this is one where, and again, I don't know if I've brought this one up before, but I was watching a college game, and this happens in the NFL as well, where I think we still need to extend the fucking field goal post at least another 2 feet. The NFL did this about, I don't know how many years ago. They extended it 5 feet. I'm still watching field goals where no one knows that the goddamn ball went through the uprights or not, especially in college when you're kicking from that 82-degree angle off the, with those, the hash marks almost in the out of bounds over there. I forget what game it was. I was watching. you're now obviously granted on TV you can't see with the angles, but you're watching these balls go 8 to 10 feet over the uprights. Have no idea if they're good, and like, oh, he squeezed that one in. So a couple things. My pet peeve here: extend the fucking post a little bit higher. Number one. Number two, put a camera either right on top of the post from like have a drone cable over the damn thing, right? We have those drone shots while the thing while the offense is on the field and we're in the huddle. Do a cable, the drone camera right over the upright, or maybe have one shoot from the ground, or put the camera on top of the official's head that's standing underneath the upright because he has the best view in the house, right? And the other thing I can't stand about this is that when you see the ball go right over the upright, or what appears to be over the upright, the announcer always says, well, the ball, it looked like it went right over the upright, so that's good. No, it's not, asshole, because if the upright is another couple feet up, isn't the ball then fucking hitting the upright? If there's an imaginary upright there and it extends and the ball goes right over the shortened upright, wouldn't the ball hit the post then if it goes right over it? They always say, well, it's good. That means it's good. Well, why? If we can we get a contractor from Home Depot or Lowe's or one of these independent guy, somebody, and build these in the off season, go out to every stadium and build these uprights a little bit higher so we don't have to guess if a goddamn football was to the left or right of these posts. It still goes on. Drives me nuts.
Don't you love when the guy on the opposite goalpost has to look over to the other guy who's on the other goalpost, and he gives him the old hands out? That
sometimes that guy doesn't even make a signal. He leaves the other guy on an island over there, and the guy's like, well, fuck, I'm not gonna make a call. I don't know if that's good or not. I don't want to be accused of I don't want to be accused of making a wrong call if I never saw the damn thing. My favorite one of all time is probably the Ravens Patriot one on, I think it was a Sunday or Monday night a few years ago, and the Ravens won on a Justin Tucker field goal that you can't tell. You have no idea if this thing was inside or outside the post, and all the Patriots are barking at the official. This is great because it's the last play of the game, so everyone's running off the field. There's chaos, right? It's sort of like, with the what do you call the Schultz Harbaugh, handshake kind of chaos. You got people all over the place. There's cameras, and Belichick is grabbing the official by the arm as he's trying to get to the tunnel to ask him, what the hell did you see? My players are saying it wasn't good. You're saying it's good. I don't know why we're still having to deal with this.
I really don't. It's not reviewable either.
No, there's no way you can review it.
There's so many easy ways to fix that. I mean, you could put cameras at the top of the post that just look straight up, and then you could go to that camera. If you can't see the fucking ball, it's no good. Or whatever
put
rule,
a laser beam.
Yeah,
a laser beam.
It goes up indefinitely.
Uprights with laser beams attached to their heads.
Yeah. Matter of fact, we don't even need the hard post on the ground. It could just be lasers.
Lasers.
Yeah.
Right.
Lasers are the answer right here.
I still think another few, it's because just another few feet, maybe another 5. You can't extend these things another 4 or 5 feet up in the air. I don't know. Drives me nuts, man.
We will call it the Alan Parsons Project.
I'll tell you what, though. I am terrible watching, like when you're at the stadium and you're not behind the end zone. I am terrible at calling whether a field goal is good or not. I'm just looking at the reaction of the people behind the in the end zone. Like, no, I swear sometimes I think I see the ball on the outside of the goalpost. I'm never right. I'm like, oh, he missed it. No,
exactly.
No, I'm
right down the middle.
By the way, I said Schultz. I think I meant Schwartz. I think I said Schultz. Yeah. The Harbaugh Schwartz ending, which is still one of my favorites of all time. Had nothing to do with the upright thing. It was just still one of my most favorite post-game chaos.
Handshakes.
Yeah, just all of it.
I'm with you, Scott. In college where they even have the wider hashes, sometimes it comes off the kicker's foot. You're like, he shaked it. It goes just right through the middle.
Right?
Yeah.
And I think in college, I don't think they extended. Yeah, the uprights I think are even shorter. Then you go to high school and they're like 2 nubs out there. You're like, there's not. It's like a clothesline you're kicking it into.
Hit it that general direction.
Field goal kickers have come a long way since I was in high school. I remember like I was a backup field goal kicker at one point, and I could barely get the thing over the like an extra point try. You more or less were better off going for two. Because the kickers back when I was playing, they could barely kick it over. Now I'm watching some of these guys in high school, they're booting 50-yarders. They look like
we had a pretty good kicker. My high school team did. He was a straight on guy. You know,
Mark Mosley.
The
Mark Mosley.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like his leg was on a hinge, right? It just like a swing at the playground,
like
just went back and forth.
What was the toy
Super
that you
toe.
pop it on the head?
Was it?
Yeah.
Was it Super Toe? What was it?
Yeah.
Oh, we had that in my house. My kid growing up.
Gosh.
That thing was like a rocket. You could go all the way down the hallway, and those things were good from 50 feet.
Yeah, I remember the first time I got that. I was at my grandparents' house, and me and my two uncles are like, "It's this all right, 70-yarder."
Talk about the uprights on that though. The ball was wide as hell.
Yeah.
And the uprights were like this, so you literally couldn't fit the ball through the upright very well.
You had to power it through.
If it was even close, you were like, "That's good." Maybe that's how we got to where we are today with the refs.
Super toe.
Mike, pet peeves?
Yeah, I've got a couple. This week, ever since I've been called out, I'm like, this is like my second job now, is finding pet peeves. So I've rededicated
has called you out.
Rededicated myself to being angry.
Mm-hmm.
So my one this week, and it's probably going to be a short one because it's just is what it is, and it's just so typical of the Dallas Cowboys. You can't have a fucking scoreboard hanging over your stadium in the middle where it could be hit by a football. What other team would even try it? B would get approved for it. I mean, the ball hits this thing from time to time. So again, special rules for Dallas. Oh, that one didn't count. It hit the stupid giant scoreboard. Get it out of here. That is the most ridiculous thing. It's like
Jerry World.
Yeah.
Asshole.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know. The Giants want to put a blimp inside their stadium that, no, that's the field of play. If there's any chance a punt can hit it, it should not have been allowed. And not only is there a chance, it happens like frequently.
Yeah.
Gillen actually put one well above the scoreboard. And luckily, he was off to the side of it. So
I heard it. Yeah. I don't think I'd heard the announcers going off about that, but I don't know if they ever went back and actually showed it. But yeah, it's one of the stupidest. It reminds me, like in baseball fields, they used, there was like sometimes they'd have a lemonade stand or something out in right field just because they could do whatever they wanted with the field. Football's not supposed to be that way, Jerry. Where we have to, oh, he hit it. That's a 300-yard. That's going out to the Gap. No, not the Gap in the field. The actual Gap clothing store out there in left field.
I think it's Tropicana Field, home of the Rays. Balls just get lost in the fucking catwalk up there, right? They just never come down.
Remember the
Metrodome, hit into the ceiling,
caught in the padding up there, and it's like it's a ground rule double. I mean, how do you even rule that shit?
Because it went into the hefty bags. Remember they called it the hefty bag?
Yeah.
In Minnesota.
Yeah.
The worst looking thing ever.
Yeah, so that's my thing is that I don't even know how that thing got approved. I don't know why it's there. It's so Jerry Jones. This guy probably still has bed with a mirror above it. That's kind of what I
never understood the limitations in a stadium anyway. I remember going back to CYO basketball when I was back in Elmira, and we played one time in Corning, and the ceilings were like 15 feet. So how the hell were you supposed to shoot a jump shot from back there and not have it scrape off the top of the ceiling and in? It's you're playing in some of these bandbox arenas. Yeah. It wasn't even an arena. It was a gymnasium that I think I have higher ceilings in my house.
Yeah, some of them that went the other way too. You just had there's a bench and then an 8-foot wall behind the bench, and then the students sat above that. So you literally played in a box.
Right.
You could check people into the boards. That's fine. Dallas, just more Dallas. Just everything about them.
Everything about that franchise. I agree.
Just reeks of tackiness. Dallas is
I know.
They're just the tacky ant of the NFL. Just everything they do is
Everything.
just like grinding. Just
Everything.
Mine is sort of calling out our own fan base when we lose or when we win and get too high. But it's like everything is a "what have you done for me lately" thing. When we were 7-1, you got people talking about Jones and Barkley. Oh, they're definitely coming back next year. Now we've lost 2 games in a row, and you got people like saying, "Oh, Daniel Jones is no better than Marcus Mariota." If you watch Marcus Mariota play, he's made a couple of throws I've never seen Daniel Jones make in his time. Like just going down to the turf, throwing something up for grabs, interceptions in the end zone when you need a touchdown.
Mhm.
Daniel Jones is many things. One thing he's not is he doesn't make bad decisions throwing the ball. He might take too long to make a decision to throw the ball, but he doesn't generally make that throw where you're like, what the fuck did we just see? And you see a lot of quarterbacks in the NFL make those throws right now. I mean, I see it weekly from, Zach Wilson, who's been benched now. But that's another one too. Now I hear Giant fans going, well, look at what Mike White did with the Jets. We couldn't get a cheaper Mike White and have him take Daniel Jones's place. What? Then when Mike White throws 4 interceptions and throws for 36 yards in a 36-0 blowout, what are you going to do then? I just get so fed up with this whole, Daniel Jones is the reason we're losing games. Because if you're watching the Giants play and you think the quarterback is the reason we're losing games, you need to look a little bit deeper as to why. I mean, I'm watching teams run against us. So our defense is not stopping teams. I'm watching our offense with wide receivers drop balls or not even get open. I have a very hard time pinning losses directly on the quarterback unless the quarterback makes just a ridiculously bad mistake or throws interceptions all the time when you're driving for a touchdown. I just haven't seen that with Daniel Jones this year. So when you start comparing him to Marcus Mariota, when you start comparing him to, the just terrible quarterbacks and saying that we could have anyone. There are Giant fans that are saying next year we could have Tyrod Taylor step in and work this offense as good as Daniel Jones. What the fuck what are they watching all year? What have they seen? Now, I think there's going to have to be a conversation about Jones on how much he's going to cost and whether or not he should be brought back. I don't see a lot of college quarterbacks that are ready to step in right now this coming year. And here's the thing. If you look at the top of the draft next year, 6 of the top 8 teams are going to need quarterbacks. So we're not getting a quarterback unless we get someone at the end of the first round. And at that point, he's going to be a project. So just this whole "what have you done for me lately" thing is my pet peeve. I can't stand the knee-jerk reactions after a loss. We're 7-4. You'd swear that we are already out of the playoffs. We're going to be picking top of the draft next year and things like that. We still have a very good shot to make the playoffs.
Yeah. No, if anything, all Jones does each and every week is secure and confirm that he belongs as this team's quarterback. Right now, and they can win with this guy. So great point, Scott. It's this is the NFL's a week to week kind of business. It's emotional for the fans. It's for the journalists who cover the game, for everybody involved. Because the season is everything rides on so many. Because there's only a limited number of games. Obviously, it's not like the NBA or the NHL with these ridiculously long seasons. So week to week, it feels like there's so much can happen and swing in either direction, win or lose. We've already experienced it this year. 6-1, and now we've lost 3 out of 4. So, we're feeling a little bit of the pressure and the stress and the anxiety and all those things that are happening throughout. So, yeah, so the fans reacting like that, we say it all the time that it's just be smarter, just be a smarter fan. That's all.
Yeah, I completely agree with what you just said, Chris. I mean, we all, I think, suspected coming into this year that we could win with Daniel Jones, and we just have been unable to see a situation where he could showcase that for everybody. Last year was impossible, but I think you saw life without Daniel Jones at the end of last year. That was really enough for me. And then we come in this year, and we're starting 7-1 or 6-1 and 7-2. Now I'm like, okay, this really top to bottom isn't a very good team. We're winning with Daniel Jones. We're winning. And the ironic thing is, in games like Detroit and Dallas, well, Detroit he had the interceptions, but he's had high completions, high yards. We have lost those games. I don't know if people are equating these things. And these other games that we win and the fans still bitch about Jones, it's like the win it's not even secondary. It's like the fourth thing on the list. And then you look at someone, again, I'm going back to the well. Then you look at your Justin Fields, who just, I don't know, because he can run the ball, he has announcers and fans just going nuts over this guy. All he does is lose. And he's got a pretty good supporting cast around.
Yeah.
So, they could take that and cram it. If you think after watching the Giants this year and the end of last year particularly, that Daniel Jones is somehow holding this team back, you don't even know what the hell you're doing. You shouldn't be a football fan.
When people
go watch the World Cup.
When people complained about Jones in the wins against Jacksonville and Chicago, I threw my hands up because they're looking strictly at stats, which by the way, his stats in Jacksonville were quite good. They were very good.
Yeah.
And against Chicago, he didn't throw for many yards, but he ran for quite a bit. And so it's funny because you factor the run in when you talk about Justin Fields.
Yeah.
Last night all we heard about was how great Jalen Hurts was running the ball.
Yeah.
So you hear about the run with these guys. When Daniel Jones does it, it's almost like it's a black mark against him.
Yeah.
Oh, Jones is he's running the ball.
It's a negative. You're right, Scott. They say, Jones wouldn't be doing anything if not for the run. Well, Jalen Hurts' passing numbers it's not going to get him into the Hall of Fame. Not going to win many championships. Certainly not Justin Fields. So it's subjective. It's they're going to find the thing to complain that they want to complain about no matter where it is. Is Jones in the top 3, 5, even maybe 8 to 10 quarterbacks in the league? I don't know. I don't think he is right now, probably. But we're not going to go find Patrick Mahomes tomorrow.
Yeah.
And taking a flyer on somebody and cutting Jones' tenure with us short is so short-sighted. It sets us back so many years, unless you find a diamond in the rough, which there's a reason why they're called diamond in the rough. It's nearly impossible to get lucky enough to find that guy. How many teams passed on Mahomes?
This could be a pet peeve all on its own, but that you hear the statement all the time, and there's nothing factual to back this up, but you always hear this statement about a quarterback. Well, can he take you to a Super Bowl? Jones might be good enough to get you to a playoff, maybe, but can he take you to a Super Bowl? Well, hell, I don't know. Nick Foles took the Eagles to the Super Bowl. Yeah. I mean, Jimmy Garoppolo's been in a Super Bowl. Trent Dilfer's won a Super Bowl.
Brad Johnson's been to a Super Bowl. Joe Flacco's been to a Super Bowl.
I mean, you see guys that go to the Super Bowl. It doesn't take a Herculean effort every year to get your team to a Super Bowl, especially if you have a dominant defense.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Daniel Jones on a team that is strong on the defensive side of the ball and an offense that doesn't make mistakes can get you to pretty deep in the playoffs, possibly to a Super Bowl. I'd ask the question, can Kyler Murray get you to a Super Bowl if this is a criteria we're looking at?
Yeah.
Can Lamar Jackson get you to a Super Bowl? I mean, that's the thing. When you say it about Daniel Jones, it's like everyone agrees and backslaps people. Oh, that's a great point. Well, how do you know? I mean, how do you know unless you have a better supporting cast?
Right. And how do you know when you talk about a guy like Lamar Jackson who hasn't done it? Why is it automatic that Lamar Jones can? And so let's just talk about the stupidity of the statement that he might be able to get you in the playoffs a couple years, but he's not a Super Bowl quarterback. What the hell are you talking about? He can win 14 games, but can't win 3 more. That doesn't make any sense.
Right.
It's just it's infuriating.
I mean,
I'm
the
sure
question
a lot
always,
of people, when Sims went down, a lot of people said Hostetler can get them to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Who cares?
Exactly. No, it's the system. There's lots of things that go into making a playoff run and all those things. And again, Jones, let's remind everybody he's in his 4th year, right? So, he's not going to get better. He's not going to improve his ability to play quarterback in this league. Yeah, I have a lot of confidence that he will.
Yeah.
So right now, the question always is, we've covered it a million times. All right, so-and-so. Here's the thing here, like Stephen A. Daniel Jones is not the guy for the Giants. All right, Stephen A., you arrogant asshole. Then who is? Then who do you want?
Yeah.
Who?
Yeah.
Who? Like Bill Parcells said all the time. He goes, "Oh, we got to go find. They need a quarterback. They got to go get a quarterback. Where? I mean, we know where.
Yeah.
I mean, like the draft and all that. But I mean, like right now, like, well, then who? Who's that person?"
And the good thing about that statement, Chris, is that Giant fans that are so eager to move off of Daniel Jones have to realize that you're taking a chance on whoever the next guy is. And if that guy doesn't pan out, what if you get a Zach Wilson? What if you get a Sam Darnold? And all of a sudden now you got to start over again. And you got to do it probably 2 years from now because you're going to give this guy a little bit of time to find his feet. Build the team, and a guy like Jones can be okay. If you don't have a team, I'd be fine moving away from Jones if you don't have a team at all.
At the end of his career, whose career, I'm just thinking this now, Daniel Jones might mirror a little bit. Rich Gannon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was a guy who was sort of seen as a journeyman, but he had pretty good numbers. And then, as he got older and wiser, he just kept getting better and better.
Yep.
Like every year, he just kind of kept getting better and better. He had some wheels too. And, by the end of his career, he's never won one, but he's, playing in Super Bowls. So,
yeah, that's a really good, that's a good call.
Who was the
Gannon
old Tampa quarterback?
He fits that mold.
Brad Johnson.
Tampa?
Brad Johnson. Brad Johnson's another one. Brad Johnson had a couple lackluster seasons early on. He hung around and he was able to he had some really good seasons at the end of his career.
Yeah. Played within the system, the whole thing. Played alongside, had a dominant defense in his locker room and won a championship.
Yeah.
And played pretty goddamn good in that Super Bowl when they destroyed the Raiders.
He beat Gannon.
Did. Destroyed him. Yeah. So, in many ways, you could almost make the argument that Jones is, I'm not saying he's a rookie, but again, let's everyone keep in mind, he's playing with a rookie head coach. He's playing with a new offensive coordinator. He's playing with a lot of new players around him. So in many ways, you could almost make the argument that he's playing almost rookie ball in some ways. I mean, that's a little far-fetched, to go, obviously, but when you're playing in a whole new system with new coaches around you, you could almost make the argument that this is like his first year with this, in this system. So again, you just made the point. We're gonna start all over with somebody else right now. It takes a long time, usually in the NFL, to really gel and develop a chemistry and
unless you hit right away,
build success,
and you have a team around you. I mean, the thing is, the next guy that comes in next year, he's going to have the same group of receivers that hopefully will upgrade, but you're going to have to use draft picks on the receivers too to upgrade them. You're going to have to, you have to find a way to get better skill positions in here. So it drives me crazy because Giant fans seem to hate Daniel Jones for some reason. I can't for the life figure it out.
He's not, that's a whole other topic. He's not on the cover of Madden. He's not featured on Sports Center. He's, he doesn't make commercials.
Listen, I mean, we don't have to look that far, right? He reminds a lot of people of one of our favorites, if not our favorite, Eli Manning. Personality-wise, it's the same thing. I think we're alluding to that, Mike. We're like, he's not that rah-rah guy. He's not very vocal. He's not. It's almost like it's very identical to Eli. You know what? That works for me. You know what I mean? If you can, it works for me. I'd rather have a guy like that than is acting like an asshole, doing all kinds of bullshit off the field or doing, I'd rather have a Daniel Jones. Right now, I'm not saying like he's not the most talented. We know he's not. Would I take a lot of other quarterbacks? Yeah, of course. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that for right now, he's the quarterback of the Giants, and I think they can win with him. They can win with this guy.
Yeah, I mean, to me right now, in this point in their career, compared to Eli's, I think year 4, Eli was going to win a Super Bowl. Didn't look like it at this point of that season. Right. Didn't look like that was on the on the table at all. But the biggest difference is, what Eli had from this point going forward in his career. Toomer, Hicks, Manningham,
Blacks.
Yeah, I the names are escaping me because I'm old, but you know what I mean. We don't have these guys. And then of course, Cruz. Oh God, Cruz. I forgot Cruz.
Steve
And,
Smith.
And then of course that late 90s, early 2000s offensive line that was, I'm sorry, I'm a decade behind. The late 2000s, early 2010s offensive line that was out of this world.
Yeah.
You guys got anything else tonight?
No, I would be remiss if I didn't mention the Michigan Wolverines on this broadcast. I think
Big win, man.
Yeah, that was
happy for you, Mike. I just disliked Ohio State so much. So awesome win by the Wolverines there.
They were very close to being my pet peeve. Just in general, their essence is very Dallas-like. Their their coach early in the game went for it on 4th down and gave Michigan a score that kind of pumped the team up, and it's arrogance. And I think that with that particular rivalry, that goes both ways. If what was it? I think it was an Ohio State coach who actually said it, but the feeling is very mutual. They asked him, late in the game, they were pounded Michigan. They went for 2 late in the game, and the reporters after the game asked him why he went for 2, and he said, because I couldn't go for 3. If there was more time in that game, Harbaugh would be finding more ways to score. It's a fun rivalry, especially when you win, because it's nasty.
And I think you were taking crap from one of our questioners last week, Brian Peacock, about Michigan. So it's got to be good to.
He asked how fraudulent they were. Oh no, he didn't. He didn't even ask. He didn't ask in a way that I could even defend it. He's like, "Do you? Of course, you agree with me that Michigan's fraudulent." But to Brian's credit, he texted me right after the game. Very nice text about Michigan, especially after he and I were spewing hate at each other just a few days earlier watching Dallas and the Giants.
So, like I said, we're recording on a Monday this week. We're not going to be back again until the following Wednesday after the Redskin game. So we got a big game coming up Sunday, probably the most crucial game of the year to this point. So hit us up next week for some questions. We're on Twitter at angry_3. Check us out on YouTube. We are the 3 Angry Giant Fans. Your host Scott, Giant Mike, and Cardone. And we will be back, like I said, next Wednesday to recap the Redskins. Commanders. Fuck, I keep saying Redskins. The Commanders, the victory over the Commanders. Woo-hoo!
Feels like a must win. Better go get it.
Yeah, I was gonna say we it just seems like when the Giants are decent and they need a win, here comes Washington, right? That's been the history over the years. But this is not the Redskins. This is the Commanders. But even though so we'll see. Maybe that all changed. I hope.